Using AI to write better requirements for coding agents. Here's how AI can help software engineers write better specs specifically for coding agents. For example, AutoGPT, Devin, GitHub Copilot Workspace, or custom agentic systems. 1. Detect ambiguity and underspecification. Coding agents fail most often on edge cases and unstated assumptions. AI can parse a natural language spec and highlight missing constraints, e.g., what happens if the API returns a 429? Flag vague phrases like fast, secure, robust, and suggest measurable criteria. Generate clarifying questions an engineer must answer before the agent starts. Example, engineer writes, fetch user data and cache it. AI suggests, cache TTL, what cache backend, in-memory /redis, stale while revalidate policy. 2. Convert spec to executable test cases. Agents trust code more than text. AI can transform requirements into failing tests first. Given a user story, AI generates unit/integration tests that encode the spec's behavior. Engineer reviews the tests. If tests are wrong, the spec is wrong. Agent then writes code to pass those tests, not just interpret English. Workflow. Spec to AI to PyTest/Java unit tests to engineer approves to agent implements. 3. Enforce a spec DSL, domain-specific language. Natural language is too flexible for deterministic agent behavior. AI can help engineers write specs in a constrained, machine-checkable format like Gherkin, Cucumber style, given/when/then. TypeSpec or Smithy for API contracts. Rego for policy specs. Custom JSON schema with behavioral annotations. The AI acts as a linter plus translator, turns high-level intent into the DSL, and checks for syntactic/semantic errors the agent would choke on. 4. Generate structured acceptance criteria from conversation. Most real specs live in Slack/PRD comments/Jira descriptions. AI can extract and consolidate acceptance criteria from messy discussion threads. Group them by scenario, happy path, error handling, concurrency, rollback. Assign priority labels, for example, must have, nice to have, so the agent doesn't over-engineer. 5. Simulate agent interpretation, reverse spec testing. AI can role-play as a naive but literal coding agent. It reads the spec and produces a low-level plan, function signatures, data flows, modules. Engineer checks if the plan matches intent. If not, the spec is ambiguous. Iterate on the spec before any real code is written. This finds gaps cheaper than waiting for an actual agent to fail. 6. Suggest non-functional requirements and system boundaries. Human engineers often forget to specify what the agent should not do and where it must ask for help. AI can suggest additions like, this module must not call external payment APIs directly. If input size 1 megabyte, abort and return a 413 error. For any DB write, first emit an audit log event. It can also infer interface contracts between agent-implemented code and human-owned systems. 7. Keep specs aligned with code, bidirectional sync. After the agent implements a feature, AI can diff the original spec versus the final code. Detect where the agent deviated without authorization, spec drift. Or where the spec was wrong, suggest updating the spec to match the real needed behavior. This closes the loop. Better specs come from specs that evolve with code. Practical tooling direction, short term. Engineers could use Cursor/Copilot chat with custom instructions. Given this spec, what's missing for a coding agent? Prompt layers, for example, spec-analyzer.md, that run against each PRD. Open source checkers like Specmatic, contract testing, plus LLM for generating missing contracts. Langsmith, or similar to Log, how different spec versions affect agent success rate. Key mindset shift. A good spec for a human is a good story. A good spec for an agent is a good set of tests plus boundaries. AI's main value isn't writing the spec for the engineer. It's subjecting the spec to machine-driven interrogation before an agent executes it blindly. Do you know that any private information you put into a cloud AI is used to train that AI? A private AI running on your own hardware is the best way to keep your private data private. I can help you set up a private AI on almost any PC or server. Contact me for a free consultation. I have published more than 700 blogs on AI in the past 3 years. If you get value from these blogs, please consider joining my Patreon as a member at the $2, $4, or $8 level. https://www.patreon.com/Steve Hovland.